The next thing that I have here is I didn't know I was going to lose myself in marriage. And when I say lose myself,
this one I need explanation.
Because it's true. Because a lot of people, always, as there's always advice, be married and single, be single and married. I cannot understand that concept, because when you're married, you're married. Biblically, when you're married, the Bible said the two of you become one. So there is no we are married but I'm still single. When I got into marriage, somebody advised me that, and I was hoping that in marriage I can still keep my singlehood whilst I am married. And that's a lot of unrealistic expectation that people enter into marriage with, right? The other day I was discussing with a friend, and then she asked me that, we're just randomly talking about marriage, and she was like, the top, because we were living together for about a month, and she was like, we've been living together, we've never had issues and stuff like that. Why can't it be the same as marriage? Why can't we not just give ourselves space, be single, and when we need to be together, I'm like, hey, marriage is different, because in marriage every decision you make affects me. Every decision I make affects you, so the things that if we're living together, if you decide that you want to travel tomorrow, I don't have problem. Okay, if my husband comes today and wants to travel tomorrow, where are you going? Who are you going to be with? Where are you going? What time will you be back? Because your life affects me. When you're sick, I'm affected. When you're down, I'm affected. So I think I went into marriage thinking that, and that's not to say that, so because I purposely use the word losing yourself, because you lose a part of you. You don't lose yourself in entirety, right? Because when you become a wife, you lose a part of you. You lose a lot of your freedom, right? You lose a lot of, when I was single, when I want to think about what I want, and I got into marriage, my very first few months of marriage, me and my husband had that issues, because I've always been in charge of my money. I've always been in charge of my time. I've always been in charge of certain things. So I got into marriage still expecting that I will still be in charge of those things. So I will make certain decisions, make certain purchases without consulting my husband, even though it was coming from my money and I didn't ask him. So it would be like, even though sometimes the purchases are for the house, but we didn't have that conversation. So I collect my salary and I do certain things. I'm also like, sister, I'm not saying you shouldn't do, but don't you think that I should have been aware that, certain things want to be done and stuff? But you see, the problem is when he does the same thing, I get upset. Yeah. You see that my money is my money, but my husband's money is our money. We think we don't have that mindset, but to be honest, our society or our background, our tradition and culture has embedded that thing in our head, that my husband cannot make his own purchase decision and decide to do anything, but I can choose to do that because I am a woman. I went into marriage, and I'm being honest, I mean, most times we talk about certain things, but if a number of times I would make certain decisions and I don't expect him to have a say in it. Like, I want to go out and be with my friend, and around are you saying something?
No, I'm like, can you imagine? Okay.
And around like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, my husband is already messaging. I'm like, sister, brother, what's the problem? Why are you I didn't exactly. Oh, I got to my friend's place and I forgot to text him. You get that? Like, my husband will be so pissed. Like, I need to know where you are at every time. And I realized that when he's out too, I want to know where he is at every time. So that if somebody asks me where's your husband, I can say, God forbid they say something's happening to somebody, I can be sure that my husband is not there. You understand that? So I remember that time, it was so, for me, I was not that concerned about where he is at every time. My husband was like particular. When I want to enter Uber, we say I should snap the Uber the plate number. I should check inside the boots. I'm like, brother, what's the problem? But I realized that, when your life is intertwined with somebody, and that's what marriage is. So when I hear people say, and I think the first time I realized that was when I realized that I couldn't say one word without saying my husband. No. And I know that people usually like come for married people on this. I wanted to make an entire video on this, but I don't think we understand the concept of marriage, because the Bible says that the two becomes one. It is impossible for me to say 3 or 4 statements about myself and I don't add my husband, because spiritually we are one. In everything wise, we become one. When I want to make a decision about I want to go to school, I've thought first about my husband like 20 times. How is this going to affect him? How will it affect our plans? How will it affect our future? How will it, you understand? So whether you like it or not, a part of you, and I'm when you become a mother, and I'm sure probably you can speak to that also, because I know I've heard from mothers, when you become a wife, you lose a part of you. When you become a mother, you lose another part of you. It doesn't mean that you are, and I know a lot of women see this as a bad thing, like you're losing yourself and whatever, but I don't see it as losing. I see it as you are adding something, but you are losing the things that are not necessary for you in this season of your life that you are in. So you're married, but you still want to be keeping some friends. You still want to be going to club. You still want to be doing all those things. When you are married, you cannot do it anymore, because those things are not relevant in the season that you are in. Because those things would, anyways, yes, Sha, you lose a part, whether you like it or yes, you lose a part of you in marriage. And I wish I understood that, because I knew that, but I didn't understand it fully.
Yeah, I really love that last part where you talked about, knowing something and really understanding it. They are actually two different things. They are really two different things. But yes, I think like what you said the other time about, we women seeing that as a bad thing when you lose a part of yourself to something. And I think it's because, yes, we don't really understand it. But I think if we look at it as we are giving a part of ourselves to something that is much more important to us. Like Jesus gave himself for us because we are very important to him, So it's just like giving a part of you, giving it away for something, for someone that you love. Like, I would rather not sleep than have my child go hungry at night. I'm giving my sleep away just because I want my child to be fed, So just it's the same way and when we're doing it for our kids, when we're doing it for our children, it's easy to be like, sure, you don't know me. But when we're doing it for our husband, it's like, I'm not losing myself to him. I'm not doing this to dad. I'm not gonna. But if we look at our marriage as something that is a part of us, something that you hold very important, something that, we will not be like, it will be okay for you to give a part of yourself. And it's not even losing because the relationship is gain. Now, if your relationship work, it's not gain for you. So it's not losing yourself to it, because losing is a word that can be negative. But you're giving, you're going to give a part of yourself. Used it. Yeah, because that's the term we usually use. Yeah. So I get it. I get it, and that's really nice. And I think for me, another thing, like I think I embedded myself in that your point, that I lost track of what I was going to say. But anyways, let me look at the point I have here. So and for me, another thing that I really learned, that I wish I knew before marriage, is to understand that selfishness is a no-no. And like when we say selfishness, you like, just in line with what you were saying, like, you definitely give a part of yourself to the marriage. And if you're somebody that you're like, you want to be in control, you're holding, like, selfishness is something that you have to let go. Yeah, I remember that one that I wanted to say. Now I remember, I'll talk about it next. Like selfishness has to go. I remember again, my husband and I were having this conversation this morning that I was saying earlier, and I was talking to him about some of the ways that he was very selfish. And when he was explaining it to me, he was saying that it is out of, for example, we were not in the same place at the time. So when he's coming to see me, he is excited to see me, that he's planning out things, like he's looking at fun, he's like planning out things that we do, but they are mostly things that he likes to do. He likes that he's not planning on how he wants me to do it with him. Yeah. Do you understand? So it wasn't like he's planning like, oh, what does she like? What do I like? No. He's planning like, I've not seen my hot babe for a long time, this beauty. Have not seen her. Yeah. And he's planning, how will you take me out to go and eat fish? I don't like fish. Like, I don't like so this all outing that he has planned, when he's like, let's go and eat, and you are taking me to, and I'm selecting bones, I will just be there. I won't say anything. I'll just be there. I'll just be angry, like, what's all this? And I've also planned out things in my I've also planned out things that, okay, let's go to the movies, let's go to this, I'm like, this time we're going to maximize it. And we're both planning out things based on what we like. Based on the things we like. We need to do a video about like our dating experience, because I have a lot to say about this topic. I'm not even joking. I'll put it in our next two. Can you imagine? Go ahead. I'm like planning out things I like to do that I want to drag him into. He's planning out things he wants to do that he's planning to drag me into. Like, let her follow me to do this. I'm saying let him follow me to do this. And whichever one comes first. And that's another thing. Like, nobody is ever going to be right and nobody is ever going to be wrong in the relationship. It's just about syncing things together. So I'm like, my own has to confess. It's like his own has to confess. Like, and he was telling me that it's as I was telling him about all this selfishness, he was telling me that it's about the longing to see somebody that he has not seen in a while, that is, his heart is with, and such a beauty now. You have to take selfie with the girl. Don't mind me. So it's just about the longing to see this person, and he's just planning out activities like, I know it'll be fun for her. Like, we're not really factoring in the other person into these plans that, we're making. So it's really not about like selfishness will go, that I must have the last word, that I must do things my way, that I must, all those kind of things I never knew before marriage. And I'm somebody that I'm very stubborn. I'm very stubborn. Like, you just have to give me a good reason to do what you're saying. Like, why should your own come second? Like, I must have the, when I start to talk, I would have rehearsed it so much in my head that I know that I'm right here. So I must have the last say in that conversation. I must, in my own way, must go. So I think that was something that I didn't know that could necessary. Like, it wasn't necessary for you to have the last life. Having your partner in mind, having your husband in mind, thinking while you're planning whatever you're planning, don't let it be based on your own self as well. Like, factoring him. Now, there's no way my husband will be so excited about anything that he will say, I should come and go and eat fish. No. He will think about something that he likes and I like. I remember it was even so annoying that even till marriage, I never said it when we were dating. I didn't say anything that those things I didn't like. Then one day on my own birthday, he was like, he has planned something else. He took me there to go and eat fish again. He wasn't an out bed, and I'm like, wait, what is this with you and fish? Like, I don't like eating fish. Like, and at that day I was so angry, and he was feeling bad that he had planned something like this. But he was planning something based on what he liked, And that's something I wish I learned, that, whatever control that you want to have based on your own selfishness, whatever thing that is wrong with you from your past that you just feel a need to be in control, whatever selfishness that you have coming into marriage, when you're coming into it, just know that selfishness, you just wrap it inside paper and you don't burn it somewhere. And now start open-minded to that person, understanding the person that you're married to, understanding him, and also, you mentioned in one of our videos that you come with a mindset that I want to give to you. The other person comes with the mindset that I want to give to you. This one is giving, that one is giving. Nobody is counting scores. Nobody is wanting to have the last word. Nobody is wanting to be right. Nobody is wanting to put self over ahead of the relationship. So that's something I wish I knew, that this selfishness, this self-love, this overly self-love, self-what, self-whatever. Anyways, should please. Yeah. So that's something that I wish I knew.
I think when we talk about that, our dating experience or things we hated whilst dating, I think we'll discuss more, because my husband used to, especially when it comes to buying gifts, my husband is a person that when we're dating, he used to buy gifts that are useful. But me, I want to use less gifts. I want you to buy me chocolates. I want you to buy me flowers. I want you to buy me things that, does not have meaning. Just buy me nice things. My husband will buy me. He will say that, my AirPod has stopped working. He will buy me AirPod. He will say that, I need to, especially techie stuff. He will buy me, I'm like, well, thank you, but this is not really what I wanted. But anyways, that's a different scenario. For me, I think the next thing that I have here is people change. What you think, well, I think this is also tied to expectations, right? That people change, right? I remember the first week of our marriage, where my husband we had our first big fight, right? And I remember I said to him that you lied to me when we got married. This is not what you told me you are. This is not who you say you are. This is not who you presented yourself to be. How come all of a sudden you are telling me that you cannot do this, you cannot do that? Like, this wasn't what, and all of that. So I remember, when we're going to marry, I struggled a lot to adjust to who my husband has become in marriage. And I think he also had the same struggle with who I was in marriage, because sometimes, I always encourage, like, you marry your friend, marry someone that you know each other and all of that. But the truth is, when you get into marriage will bring out certain things in you that you did not know that you have. Marriage will grow you. It will mature you, whether you like it or not. Okay, it will take out certain things from you. And then because of that, sometimes you will think that, the other person, I remember the word I actually used was that you defrauded me. You fraud.
Fraud. Victoria, fraud.
I say you fraud. This is not what you say you were. But the truth is that, just like Yemi said when she was talking about phases and seasons happens in marriage, and sometimes it brings out certain characteristics and traits in you that you never expected to have or to be, or that you never expected your partner to be. So, and then you also change. Like, everything changes. Your spiritual life changes. See, that's it. I think that should be a different point on its own. The way marriage affects your spiritual life. Before I met my husband, I used to be like, I used to miss my quiet time. Not to say that, during a particular season of our marriage, it wasn't because of him. It was because of the marriage and the seasons and the things we were going through. a lot of things happened in my marriage during the first year. I'm like, God, this is not what you told me. God, when we enter marriage, you say, oh, find a wife, find a good tea of favor. Where is the favor? Where is the,
Show me.
So I remember I've God fought a lot because I was so immature about my understanding of what marriage was. So that when we eventually got married, a lot of changes happened for the two of us, like for the both of us, you understand. And it took me I had a hard time adjusting to those changes, adjusting to the fact that when my husband transitioned from being a boyfriend or a fiancé into being a husband, there were certain things that responsibilities that were required of him that made him act in certain ways because of the new position that he is in, and even me as a person, there were certain things that also shifted for me when I became a wife. I had to be understanding. I had to be, when my husband is down, I had to be like the voice of comfort for him, even though even me myself, I was going through tough time. Sometimes you have to let go of your side, because it does the same thing for me when he's going through things and he sees I'm going through things. It puts me first. I put him first in certain times, and those are things that I did not have to do when we're married. Like, there were certain things we discussed, the certain ideology or certain things that I saw him to be, or that he even saw me to be. When we got into marriage, we just evolved, we changed. For instance, my husband was the person that before we got married, living abroad was if you see people that are patriotic Nigeria, people that no matter come rain come shine, is this Nigeria that they die there. My husband was that person. I knew him to be. He was not on the radar. There was nothing like jackpot anywhere. So I remember when God started telling me that we needed to leave. And I didn't know how to have that conversation with him, because even whilst God was telling me that this is what we probably should be looking at, my husband was still telling me, he didn't know God was already telling me things, but he was still telling me that, wait, this Nigeria, say this is where I'm gonna stay, right? So but eventually, when it was time, of course I prayed about it, and prayer is a different thing. I don't know if it's in your list, but that's definitely one of the key things that you get to learn in marriage. But anyways, when we had that conversation, and it was difficult for me to convince him at first, but my sister, it got to a time that I didn't need to convince him again. Nigeria convinced him. I think
God did
it's not really it's not really a bad thing if we go and come back, right? So so that's just to show you that people change, people evolve. The seasons you are in marriage would push you to certain things, right? For instance, before I met my husband, I knew him to be a very relaxed person. Like, he usually says that one of the reasons why he married me is because like I usually have to push him. Get out of your comfort zone, go and pursue this thing, because I am a person that when I have an idea, I'm acting it. As the idea is coming. It's like when we decided to start this channel, the moment I had the idea, everything was already in motion. If it was my husband, till today you still be planning the way and the structure and the methodology and the action.
That's me.
My husband is a planner. And so when I got into marriage, because I knew him like that, I took on the role of the executionist. Okay, and sometimes we'll talk about something, and without discussing with him, I will start to put things in place. And my husband knows that is my characteristics. But when we got into marriage, so I realized that there were certain times, like, my husband changed. Like, he became like he hasn't changed completely, but there were certain seasons in our life that he wanted to take up that role, and it caused conflicts between us, because I'm like, this is not who you are. You are not a person that does this. But there are times that seasons in marriage will make you want to be on your feet and do something. And I saw him taking up that role, as being the person implementing things and doing stuff, instead of me, who I'm the one that used to be that kind of a person. So that's just to show you that people change, people evolve in marriage, and you have to keep up. It doesn't mean that they lied to you. It doesn't mean that the person that they presented to be before marriage is a lie. That's why I'm very careful when people say, oh, when we're dating, well, I know I said this, didn't you see the signs? Sometimes the signs may be there. Sometimes, if you are careful, you will see the sign. But sometimes the person changed. It's not because what he was telling you was a lie. It's because something pushed him to become the person that he is now. And that's why they always advise that in marriage, you don't fight the issue, you don't fight each other, you fight what is behind this thing. Why did you suddenly become this person that I don't recognize anymore? Is this spiritual? Should we go into prayer? Or is it me? Is it us? Is it you? Are you going through certain things? You understand that? So yeah, people do change in marriage. But yeah, that's one thing that I wish I knew.
All right, that's a huge one. That's a huge one. And I love the aspect of execution and the fact that somebody was more of an executioner and the other one was more like a planner. So by the time marriage now got in, automatically, without even communicating to each other now,
the role switched.
You just assume that's a good one. But anyways, I think this is going to be the last one for me because
the last one,
because so that we just don't make this video. Time.
Well, come, if you want part 2 of this video, let us know.
Exactly, let us know in the comments.
Yeah, because we still have a
what
lot
are we
to
here
talk
for?
about.
But anyways, so I think the last one for me is what I didn't know before marriage is to know when to draw the lines, like to know when to let go and to know when to continue being that person that I am. And it's in both ways, it's in both ways for me. Like I said, I'm someone that I wasn't more, and it was very intentional for me. Like I was more of a very logical person than I was of an emotional person. My emotions were the least of the things that made me, like it wasn't a huge determining factor in how I lived my life. It was more like, I was very logical. I wouldn't do certain things because I'm thinking of future. I would rob myself of certain privileges because I'm thinking, how would this... I was just very logical, even as a young lady, and I was just more like, I'm not doing anything that's going to affect my future. I'm not, like, I was just very logical. And it worked for me as a single person. If there's anybody I'm dating, I'm not attaching... If the relationship fails, I'm not going to attach... Like, it's gone, it's gone. Like, I was really very intentional about just being a very... sharp girl.
You are emotionally unavailable.
I'm not.
You were emotionally.
Like, that was just me. And so when I got into marriage, he liked that because for him, he's always been with ladies that were too emotional wreck. That it was just like too much. And here's this person that was like, oh, sorted, and it was really cool for him. We were just cruising, So it was just cool for him. But then getting into the marriage, that was when he realized that she really doesn't have that much of an emotion. Like, he's sick. I'm not the one that will be packing. No, I'm not cut out for that life. I'm not cut out for that life. Because when I'm ill, I do take care of myself. And I'm expected to say, bro, take care of yourself. Don't come and talk to a baby in this house. But that's just an example. Like, I didn't know when to draw the line. I didn't know when somebody needed me to be emotionally available. I'm just cruise. I'm just, and that's it. And there were other times that I wanted to change. For example, I'm also somebody that, let me just give that an example, like, I won't do what I don't want to do genuine. Like, if there's something that is not genuine, it's just because everybody else is doing it, I don't do it. If I'm doing anything for somebody, I want it to be genuine because I hate to regret. I don't like all those kind, you made me do it and then I'll be, no. If I decide that I'm doing something, and that's why it's hard, it takes me time to be convinced because when I go all in, I own it. So I don't do things that I don't want to do. Anything I do, I genuinely want to do it. And that's how I live my life. But then, when I got married, there are these things that they be like, okay, Ileo call, like a husband's house, these are the things you do, these are the things you do. Normally, when somebody calls me, and I don't want to take that call at that time, believe you me, I won't take the call. When I'm ready to take your call, I will call you back, and maybe I'm not in the mood. Maybe sometimes I'm not doing anything. Sometimes I just want my peace and quiet. No matter who you are to me, I won't take your call. But then I found myself changing, especially in those areas with marriage, because I wanted to give allowance and just, just give allowance, But he pulled me in the leg. He took me in the leg. What's that English? But he really came back to bite me. He came to bite me in the leg because where I was giving allowance, I didn't need to. Those were places that I needed to stand my ground so that they will know me for this. And those are things I didn't do. Like before marriage, those things that women will go wash plates, cook food, just so that they will know that it's wife material. I didn't do it because I couldn't keep up with it. And I made sure that I didn't do it. So I think that was just it for me. Like just knowing when to draw the line, knowing when to intensify, and knowing when to let go of certain traits, knowing when to just reduce the flow, reduce the tempo, not necessarily change yourself, just totally remove everything about you, change your trait, no, but just knowing when to lower the tempo and knowing when to increase the tempo, knowing what your partner needs at the time, and just knowing that it wasn't something that I knew, like something that I didn't take into serious consideration, like just knowing when to let go and knowing when to intensify certain tempo, knowing how to create that balance in terms of who I was, who I used to be, in terms of emotion managing, when to be logical, when to be emotional, when to, you know, all those things. Anyway, that's just what I would like, without going too deep, you know. Yeah, exactly. That's just what I wished I knew. Like, just balance.
Yeah, it's funny that, you know, me and my husband was still discussing this thing like 2 days ago, I think, and we're just on Sunday, we're just discussing, and we're discussing something like this, like, so the kind of person you are. One thing I used to like fight with my husband a lot when in our first year of marriage is, you know, he used to say like, this is why this is why I'm like, my brother, you have to change who you are. This act is not a good thing. Okay, so because it's who you are, it's like you cannot change a person. This one you will change it. If we have to do fasting and prayer, you have to change it. Anyway, so we're having that conversation recently, you know, about where you see yourself as, you know, being this person who is emotional, or being too, and there are certain things he also tells me, like, you cannot say that because it's who you are, then you're not going to change, right? Because like I said, people change, people evolve, and in marriage you have to change, you have to evolve, you have to grow, and all of that. But anyways, yeah, I think that's where we'll end today's video. Let us know if you want us to do a part 2, because there are certain things that we have not yet spoken about. Let us know if this is helpful to you guys. What other things do you wish, if you're married, what are the things you wish you knew, you know, before you got into marriage? Let us know in the comment section below. And if you're unmarried, what are some of the things we discussed today that you can relate with in the comment section? Let us know. Okay, remember, we are available on all of your podcast platform also, so make sure you listen to us. Also, please subscribe to this channel if you haven't. Leave a like to this video. Your like is very, very important. Leave a comment. Let us know what you guys think about this video, and please share this video to your unmarried friends, even to the married ones. You know, you never can tell who you might be helping. Okay, so thank you guys so very much for watching. Until we meet again, we still remain your favorite host, Victoria and
Yemi.
Hey, we'll see you guys in the next one. Have an amazing day. Bye.